giant trawlers devastating marine life, gigantic oil tankers transporting crude and petroleum products with the inevitability of oil spills from time to time, with dire consequences for aquatic life and for coastal areas. Large modern metallurgical, chemical and petrochemical industries operating under horrendous temperatures and pressures and handling highly toxic substances with related grave risks and causing pollution and contamination on a scale that is enormously difficult to remedy. If MDGs Generation 3 are going to accelerate the strategies of the kind Iyer has just described in the examples he has given, we will have on the eve of the 2015 summit a successor of Secretary Ban Ki-moon, outlining the three crises he has touched today with only a gentle feather tip, with an altogether different instrument I dare not imagine. If we are to continue to make strategies for development like these, 2015 could see a very different picture from the one the Millennium Declaration envisaged. If the upcoming summit is to douse the fires of the world, it will need not a shift from a walk to a sprint towards the MDGs, but a mid-course track change which moves the exercise from raising livelihoods through resource-guzzling accelerations to resource-conserving, resource-using, and resource-sharing optimizations which will reduce the fires of the world. It will need to see by simple, concentrated attention the bare fact that the defining of extreme poverty as one undifferentiated mass of starving people waiting to be given food is invalid. That the needs of the Jarawa in the Andamans are different from that of the Kumaoni in Uttaranchal. That a road can kill one if it can bring life to another. That chemicals, fertilizers, and genetically modified seeds may work in one theater, but another may need to go with the knowledge of farmers interacting with a more sophisticated use of the environment that surrounds them. That raising productivity may be needed in one place, calling a halt to the stripping of the agricultural base is what may be needed in another. Somewhere, the painting of the cabin has to yield to the steering of the ship away from assured capsizing. Not 8 times 8, but a re-examining of the 8, egolessly and fearlessly and self-critically, might redeem the MDGs from their own weight. I will end by recommending not to the great leaders and the great national entities who are to meet and deliberate on the MDGs and the future, but to all of us, the example of the honesty of our own official report, just released after a roundtable on MDGs. It says with simple truthfulness that we will not be on track for a majority of the targets. It has been given to an official, TCA Anant, Secretary of the Ministry of Statistics, to say for the Government of India that with 5 years to the target, we have a narrow window of opportunity to generate renewed momentum. A narrow window of opportunity to generate renewed momentum. Narrow window of opportunities is right. But can momentum be generated if the vessel and the waters are out of sync? Can we consider, not in substitution, certainly not in competition, but in coextensive mutuality, the following MDGs as nouns and not transitive verbs for the urgent needs of today's world, but with specific salience to our dear country. 1. Understanding the exhausting, the exploiting, and the expropriating of natural resources, so precious as they are so scarce, and so vulnerable as they are with the fragile. 2. Thinking about the whys and wherefores of food insecurity, to see how different the determinants of food security are today from what they were in the past. 3. Speaking not about this or on that, speaking not for this or for that, but speaking to and with those like farmers, herders, fishers, who are going to face a worsening of soil degradation and sharp water scarcities, so as to learn from them about as much as to suggest to them ways of coping with those that will be ecologically intelligent. 4. Acting with the speed of light, for nothing less will do, to check the loss of plant and animal diversity, which are a natural bioshield or a bioarmor, and the emergence of food and animal-borne diseases, which are now spreading with giant wingspans like modern zoonotic avatars of ancient pestilences, due to techno-commercial sheds being crammed with poultry and pigs and cows fed with what nature has programmed them to shun. 5. Retrieving livelihoods from manipulators and monopolists, including, dare I say it here, the manipulations of those trade unions and NGOs who, by their creation of dependence, bring trade unionism and voluntarism into disrepute. 6. Setting in motion efforts by those many more NGOs and many more trade unions and faith groups, as George Brown described them, to ensure that big-time and bulk users of energy and water in our country cut waste and callous extravagance and are not able to hide behind the per capita formula to say that CO2 emissions in India are way behind the developed world and hence business is as usual. 7. Mindful of how rapidly villages are becoming towns, towns turning into cities, and cities morphing into metropolises. See if we are not consigning ourselves to a future where we will all have to wear masks before venturing outdoors, even as we wear helmets and seat belts of the kind, depending on the kind of transport we are using. And encourage transport planners to please pause before they sanction another flyover, for they will soon have to sanction a flyover over that flyover because there is someone called a pedestrian. There is someone called a cycled vendor or a cart salesman who needs a sidewalk if only to jump onto when a speeding bus or a SUV menaces his path. And 8. Contemplating the good intent of all those who will see the MDGs in their true light at the third summit. Hope against fears that India, which can stop a Vedanta in its tracks and can make the lower Subansiri project answer the world's questions on its advisability, can also return money to its proper role, arms to their authorized holsters, and a tribal girl and boy now ambushed by Maoists or suspected by law enforcers to that school, which will show her and him not advertisements of the Big Mac, the McDonald burger, growing bigger and bigger for bigger and bigger mouths on computer screens, but those conduits to real knowledge that show her and him their place in the sun. And a computer which can play for them a Rahman song, not the triumphalist Ma Tujhe Salam, which compounds the pull of domestic maternalism with the push of nationalistic paternalism. But that simple composition of his in the Tamil film Roja, which talked of small wishes, chinna chinna ashe, choti si asha, which can convert the horrors and monstrosities of a life submerged by anxiety into a tolerable prospect. Friends, you would have noticed that these alternative 8 are derived in their structure from the Buddha's 8-fold enunciations, which by their impact gave him the title of Tathagata, the one who walked that way. I thank you.